Hello, my name's SireRamen. Welcome to Hearthstone Highlights, and let's go over some of those patch notes. So as you're well aware, the new patch has just gone out, and there's been some quite major changes to two of the classes, Priest and Rogue. Rogue has been nerfed quite a bit, with a few buffs, and Priest has been buffed quite a bit, with just a few little nerfs. So what we're going to do in this video is go over each individual card that has been changed, and we're going to split it into groups. We're going to start with generic minions, then move on to each class. And in the description of this video, you're going to see different links to different sections. Those are going to take you to, say, the Mage part of the video or the Priest part of the video. You don't have to watch the entire thing if you don't want to. If you're only interested in one part of the update, you can just watch that. So let's start with the generic minions that have been changed or tweaked, and after that we're going to go into Mage and then into Priest. Gelbin Mechatork's Repair Bot card is now a 0/3 and has a new power. At the end of your turn, restore 6 health to a damaged character. It's no longer healing every character on the board for 3 health. Next up we have the Sun Fury Protector, who now only gives adjacent minions taunt instead of all the other minions on your side of the field. Following that we have the Mana Wraith, which is now a 2/2 instead of a 1/3. Pint-Sized Summoner comes up next with a cost reduction on its effect from 2 to 1, meaning the first minion you play next turn will cost 1 less instead of 2 less. Questing Adventurer and Flesh-Eating Ghoul have now switched their rarities around, with Questing Adventurer being a rare card and Flesh-Eating Ghoul being the common. Emperor Cobra now has a new visual to remind you of its venomous power, and Injured Blade Master has 1 more attack. That leaves Lorewalker Cho with 1 less attack, and the Beast minion now has a 9/7 instead of a 10/6. Light Warden now gains 2 attack per heal instead of just the normal 1, and Twilight Drake has been completely changed around, with 4/1 and a Battlecry of gaining 1 health for each card in your hand. Captain Greenskin comes onto the field with a 5/4 and a changed effect to a Battlecry, giving your weapon +1/+1. This is a big change, as previously its effect was an ongoing one that gave you 1 card draw each time you attacked with the weapon. Dalaran Mage now has 1 less attack, and Captain's Parrot now has 1 less health. And all this leads to Frostwolf Warlord having a new Battlecry effect instead of an ongoing effect, and finally, Nozdormu has a cool visual effect. We now move on to the Mage Cards, and only 3 have been changed, the first being Frostbolt, which costs 2 mana now instead of 3. Up next is Mirror Image, which now creates 2 0/2 taunt minions instead of 2 0/1 taunt minions, and Sorcerer's Apprentice rounds out the Mage with 1 more attack. From there we move on to the Priest deck, with the Northshire Cleric now costing 1 mana instead of 2, and Prophet Velen now doubling the damage and healing of your hero power. Fade has been replaced with the new card, Shadow Word Death. It's a 3-cost card, destroying a minion with attack 5 or more. They bumped Cabal Shadow Priest up from a 4/5, it was previously a 3/4, and they completely changed Power Word Shield, which has a new power, giving a minion 2 health and drawing a card. Previously, it was just giving a minion 3 extra health. Greater Heal is now replaced with Holy Fire, which is 6 mana cost, and it deals 5 damage and restores 5 health to your hero. This leaves us with Lightspawn, which is an additional health. We're now moved on to Warlock, who only has 2 cards affected by this patch, the first one being Sacrificial Pact, costing 0 mana instead of 2. And that leaves us with Pitlord, which is now a 5/6 instead of a 7/5, and its Battlecry has been changed from dealing 7 damage to your hero to now only dealing 5. And we're moving on to Rogue Cards now, with the first one being Backstab, with new text saying, deal 2 damage to an undamaged minion. Preparation and Shiv have both been changed around, with Preparation now reducing the next spell cost by 3, which is up from 2, and Shiv costing 2 mana instead of 1. Defias Ringleader no longer owns this town with 1 less health, and Conceal now costs 1 mana, which is up from 0. Headcrack now costs 3 mana, which is up from 2, and Patient Assassin has a new visual to remind you of its power. The Rogue's hero power has been changed to no longer allow the buff that was previously on there. Now you can only spawn a 1/2 weapon. And finally for the Rogue, Edwin Van Cleef is now a 2/2 minion, but no longer has stealth. 5 Druid cards have been changed in this patch, with the first being Wrath, which can no longer be cast on heroes. Up next for the Druid is Sonaris, which costs 9 now instead of 8, and Starfall can now only hit minions, not heroes. Ancient of Lore's healing option now only restores 5 health to your hero instead of 8, and Savagery costs 1 mana, down from 3, and must target a single minion instead of all of them. For the Hunter, we have Hunter's Mark, no longer lasting only 1 turn, and Scavenging Hyena's effect only triggers when your beasts die. Starting off for the Warrior, we have Cruel Taskmaster with 1 more health, and Inner Rage's +2 attack effect no longer goes away at the end of the turn. Battle Rage costs 3 mana instead of 2, but it also counts damaged heroes. And that leaves us to end the Warrior side of things with Frothing Berserker with 1 more attack, and Commanding Shout now costing 2 mana instead of 1, with the added effect of drawing a card. And that leaves us with Shaman with only 2 card changes in this patch, the first one being that the Frog Hex Spawns is now considered a beast, and Healing Totems no longer heal your hero. Now that we have most of the card-specific changes out of the way, we're going to go and focus on some of the general and new features that I find most important. Your maximum level is now 60, and you can earn EXP in any game mode up to max level. Previously, your max level was 50, and you can only gain EXP past level 10 in play mode. Chat has been apparently rejiggered to look more spiffy and spancy, and gold gained in play mode has changed from 5 gold per 5 wins to 10 gold per 3 wins. In my opinion, that's one of the biggest changes in this patch. Alongside of all that, you can now acquire golden basic minion cards at higher experience levels. Arena awards now give less dust and more cards. More gold is also guaranteed at arena wins 5 and 6, and if you manage to get to 9 arena wins, you are now guaranteed an extra pack or a golden card. They've changed the language within the game, so spell power now reads spell damage. Heroes can be unlocked in any mode, not just practice mode, and play, practice, and friendly play modes will now default to a custom deck selection if you have previously created a deck. Quests that used to require you to win with a certain class like Warrior will now give you a choice between 2 classes, like Warrior and Rogue. Some new things to check out would be the new crafting mode, which has been completely revamped. They have also added credits into the game so you can see who's behind the game itself. Options menus like the game menu and the options screen have a new look, and to open your next card pack in a long series of card packs, like if you bought 40 or so, hit a spacebar and it'll open it right away. Some bugs have been fixed up with cards, such as the Hunter's Mark now correctly reduces a minion's health to 1 where it didn't before, Thought Steal now creates an entry in the game history over on the left hand side of the game board, and Misdirection no longer triggers if there's no legal targets. Within the user interface itself, several changes have indeed been made, but the most notable one is that when you disenchant cards too quickly, you're no longer going to see an incorrect arcane dust count. And finally, the most important change, in my opinion, to this game to this date is that in the Pandaria game board, the farming area, you can now spawn 3 radishes. That's right, 3, not 2, not 2 in a boot, not 2 in a stupid little watermelon. You can spawn 3 radishes, and I'm super happy. My name's been SireRamen, you've been watching Hearthstone Highlights, and assuming my voice lasts, I'll see you next turn.